Hi everyone and welcome back. So first of all, in this video I'd like to set the target for today. Okay, so we'll be creating this call log screen. Okay, we'll be displaying the history here, and if there is no history then we'll be showing a no element. That means there will be an illustration, okay, and an action button to start a conversation. And at the top you can see we'll be having this start new conversation button. Okay, that will actually open up this dialog box where user can search from the list of users, okay, and start audio or video calling. So let's now actually begin to implement this, and I would also like to confirm if my voice is clear or not. Yeah, okay. So hi Rick, hi Sanyam. So let's actually begin with this. So we created this call page, okay, in the last video, and we also implemented it in the routes folder. Now what we need to do is we need to start implementing the same thing like we did in group.js. Okay, we'll be again using the same layout. That means a stack, then a left box and the right. So instead of writing the whole code again, I'll be just using it again. Okay, we'll be actually converting these into reusable components. Okay, but for now let's just reuse it. So I'm going to copy it. Okay, and then here we can return the JSX. I'm also going to wrap it inside this React fragment. Okay, for now I'm just going to comment out this part where we have rendered the chat list. Okay, this will, let's remove that. And now let's also actually get all of the required elements. Okay, so instead of just taking them one by one, let's also copy this from the group.js file. Okay, and now let's see what is remaining. So as we have already learned in a previous video, we created this search icon wrapper and magnifying glass in the components file, right? You can see here in the search folder we created these three components and then we exported it from index.js file. So we'll be just using them here again. Okay, this search, let's actually import this first. Okay, search icon wrapper, or we can get the path directly from the group. Okay, okay, so it's just 2 level back. Now we just need this magnifying glass, and it's just a icon, okay, coming from the Phosphor React library. We have used it several times now. And for this plus icon button, okay, this is also going to come from the Phosphor React library. And for this theme we'll actually have to get it from the use theme hook. Okay, because we are using it inside a non-MUI component, so we'll have to get it. No, we can't actually get it through the callback that I showed you, okay, in a previous video like this. We can get it in this argument, as this argument, if this was a MUI component, okay, and this was sxprop, then we can write this syntax and this was valid. But right now we can't use this. Okay, so let's also get theme, which can be obtained from the use theme hook. Okay, we have used these hooks several times, so that's why I'm just copying it from the other files. Okay, you can just import it from the styles module @MUI/material/styles. Okay, now after this, what is left? We need to actually set up the state. For now I'm just going to comment it out. Okay, we first need to render the basic UI on our screen, and we can just get the simple var style imported from the components folder. Okay, now let's save this and go back to our app. Here we'll have to change our route to call. Okay, we set it up this route earlier. Okay, now as you can see, we have the basic UI here. We just need to update this text, okay, and then also this text. Then after that we'll be implementing the dialog box and the call logs here. And one more thing, we'll be actually setting up this navigation, okay, tomorrow. So that will be done tomorrow, and also we'll be implementing the user profile, okay. After that we'll be just going to the backend part. So here let's update this typography. So this will be a start conversation, okay. We can just take the reference from the Figma file, okay. Start new conversation or start conversation, whatever you like. And after that this print is okay. Here we can replace it with call logs, okay. Now after this, let's actually implement this component, okay. So we actually have to create this type of component. We have created a similar thing, okay. If you remember, we have done this here in the main screen app. So we are just going to use the outer box and also the avatar and the layout, okay. It is quite similar, but there are few changes. So let's actually create this component, then we'll be rendering our list. So I'm also going to update this comment here. Instead of chat list, it will be call logs, okay, like the history of the calls that we will make, okay. So for this I'm just going to create it inside the sections folder, okay. So here I'll be just going inside this main, then we'll create a new file and I'm going to name it, or let's actually create it inside the components folder, because these are just like the chat element, okay. So I'm going to call this call element .js. Now let's actually create a functional component here. This will be call element, okay, call log element. So I just want to clarify one thing here. There will be two types of component, okay. This one is showing the previous calls that we have made, okay, and in the other screen, this dialog box will be displaying the option to actually create another call, okay. So this will be, we'll call it call element, and for the history we'll just call it call log element, okay. So let's also define one more component here, that will be call element. So we can actually write it later, okay, because first of all we just need to display the history. So let's actually start building it. So first of all what we need is a UI like this, okay, or a box like this. So for that we can just go to the chat element that we made previously, okay, and here as you can see we are using this box, okay, and this is actually providing that white background, okay, and this border as you can see on the border radius. So I'm just going to copy it from here, this box, okay, and then we can place it like this. Let's also close this. Then we'll need to import it from the material UI, and here, since this is a material UI component, I'll be making use of this callback, okay, instead of extracting theme from the use theme hook. So I'm just going to save it for now, and here I'll be making a small change since we will have two components to export from this file. So I'll be exporting them as named components, okay, not as default, okay. So now I'm going to actually get it inside this call.js, which is our page, okay. So I'll be writing call log element, okay. It's auto imported, as you can see we have imported it here. Now I'm going to save this one. Let's revisit our app, okay. I'll be navigating to call, okay, and now you can see we get this box, and it is actually showing this border and the background color and also some padding. So now we can actually focus upon building the inner part. So we'll be revisiting the chat element again, and as you can see from the design as well, we actually need to list some few things in the horizontal manner, right? It's like this avatar, then the name and the last call when it was made. Okay, so that is why we are going to use this stack again. Okay, I'm just going to copy it. Let me also explain why we are providing these props. Since we want to render elements in the horizontal direction, so that's why the direction is row. We want things to be aligned at horizontally, okay, at through the center line. So that is why align atom center. And we want, like, we will be grouping two things. This call icon will be at the rear end and this one will be at the front. So that is why we'll keep the justify content to space between. Okay, I hope that is clear, and let's actually get this stack. Okay, now we can focus upon building this avatar first. So as you might remember, okay, we just need to use this avatar component, which is again provided by material UI. We can pass source attribute and alt attribute to this one. Okay, now for this source, actually we are going to use a fake image like we did in the chat element. So we are actually using this library called faker for that. Okay, so I'll be just copying it. Okay, so, or instead of copying it, I'll be just writing it like this so I can import it here. So faker dot image dot avatar. Okay, and you also need to call it, otherwise the image won't display. Okay, and for the name, let's just also, we can just actually, we haven't provided this alt attribute in the chat element, but we can actually improve that one. Okay, so I'll be just giving it a fake name here, faker dot name dot full name, like this one. Okay, and let's actually save this one. And if you go back to your app, okay, and refresh it, you can see we have an avatar, but there is a catch. We actually also implemented whether a user is currently online or not. Okay, like we displayed a green tag here, okay, like this one, badge. So for that we'll have to create a condition here like we did in the chat element. Okay, if the user is online, then we'll be showing the avatar which will be wrapped inside the badge. Okay, otherwise we'll be simply displaying the normal avatar that we just rendered. So instead of again writing this, I'm just going to copy it, okay, and paste it here. Then we can, let me remove that dot, okay, that was placed by mistake. I'm just going to replace this avatar with this one, and similarly here I'm also going to provide this alt attribute. Now this online is going to actually come as a prop to this one. Okay, so let's actually destructure that, and after that we need this ripple effect. Okay, badge with ripple effect. So for that we created this styled badge. Okay, you can find it in this file. And now since we are going to use it in multiple files, so again I'm going to create it as a separate component. Okay, so that we can reuse it. So since we are already inside the component directory, I'm just going to create a new file here, and that will be named as styled badge. Okay, styled badge.js, or we already have it. Let's see. Yeah, we have already created this one. Okay, so let's just reuse it. A styled badge here. Let's save this, and also here. Okay, now let's go back, and since you can see we are not passing any prop here, okay, inside the call page, we can actually pass a prop here, okay, to this call element, like if the user is online or not. If I pass true, then you can see we'll get that green badge here. Okay, we'll have to refresh it. Yeah, you can see that we have this green badge. So we'll be passing it actually by destructuring. Okay, we'll be creating a list and then mapping over that. So for now, let's just I hope you know what we are doing. Okay, so we'll be getting this as a prop, and if this boolean value is true, then this will be displayed, otherwise this one. Okay, after that, as you can see here again, we'll be having this another stack that is actually to render the user's name. Okay, as you can see in this one, we'll be displaying user's name, and this another stack will be used to render the icon and then this time. Okay, so here after this avatar, let's just use the typography component. Okay, I'm just actually going to comment out the second one. Okay, because here we have to display an icon and a text. Okay, so we'll actually implement that after this one. So for the name, we can use the faker library here. So I'm just going to write faker dot name dot full name. Okay, just like we did right now, and let's save this and see what we get. So right now, as you can see, this is coming at the end. Okay, at the right side, and we don't want that. So what we are actually going to do, we'll be grouping this is badge. Okay, and also this stack inside another stack. So let's get a parent stack for them, cut it, okay, and move it here. And one more thing, we need to again pass the direction as row here and align item center. Now this is exactly what we wanted, but let's also introduce some spacing here. Okay, so let me give this 1. Okay, it's actually quite less, so we can actually increase this a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to keep it to 2. Okay, let me see in the chat. Hi Ahmed. Okay, I hope you guys are enjoying this. Okay, and if you have any questions, make sure to post that. Okay, and also like this video. After this, let's actually build that incoming and outgoing call. Okay, that indicator. So for that, what we can do is like after this stack, we'll be using another stack to group the icon and the text together. Okay, so for that icon, we can use arrow down left. Okay, let's just start with this. We'll have to write a condition here. Okay, so after saving this, you can see we are getting it at this place, but we don't want it here. Okay, we want it exactly below this typography, so I'll be moving it inside. Okay, and now it's much better. So we can actually get a prop here that will be incoming. So this will help us decide whether we want to display an incoming icon or an outgoing. Okay, and also one more, which will be for missed. So if the call was missed, then we'll be displaying it in red color, otherwise green. Okay, so let's actually use that here. Okay, so inside this stack, I'll be writing a condition here. So we'll be first checking if the call was incoming. If it was incoming, okay, then we'll be displaying this left arrow down left. Okay, otherwise we'll be displaying arrow up right. You can actually find these icons, okay, in the Phosphor React library. We are just using it from there. Now we also need to actually color it. Okay, so that color will be actually dependent upon whether the call was received or it was missed. So I'm just going to write a condition here. If the call was missed, then the color is going to be red, otherwise it's going to be green. Okay, and similarly we can also place the same here in the arrow right. And to actually like we can make it better by writing this condition here, okay, and then we can use the color directly here. Okay, we don't need to repeat this again and again. Let's just save it for now. Okay, and right now since we are not getting any props, okay, so will we just like all these values are null, incoming and missed, so they are false. Okay, so that is why you can see this condition is met and the color is green. Okay, after this we can just render this text, okay, like the timing of the call. So for that I'll be using this typography again. Okay, and to style it we'll use this variant prop. We can give this caption, okay, that will be suited for this one. And here I'm just going to hard code it for now. Okay, later it will be coming from the API. Okay, and we'll receive it as a prop. So I'm just going to write this time like yesterday 21:24. Okay, and we also need to actually pass some props to this stack so we can align it properly. So let's pass direction row. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we can also actually, you can see here if I zoom in that these two things are not aligned horizontally, like the line which will be passing through the horizontally from their center will not coincide. So fix that. In order to fix that, we can pass this property align atom center. Okay, yeah, and after this there is a little spacing needed over there. Let's use the value 1, that will be 8 pixels. Okay, it's much better now. We can also actually limit this name. Okay, as you can see it can be quite large sometimes, so it might overflow. We'll create a function for that one, okay, later on when we'll be implementing the API. So there is a lot of things that we'll be doing. After that there is just one last thing left, and that is to actually place the icon button here, okay, to place a call. So let's actually get this one done. After this stack, okay, this outer stack in which we have provided this spacing of 0.3, I'll be actually using this phone which is coming from Phosphor React. Okay, so now it's placed over there, but let's also move it one stack down, okay, because I want it to be placed at the right side. I'm going to cut it. Let's actually just import it here. Yeah, and it's looking much better now. And one last thing that I want to do is, it is not clickable yet, okay, this call button. So I'll be wrapping it inside icon button. Okay, icon button is a component from Material UI. It will actually give this icon the functionality of, like, we can place on click event listener, okay, those types of things. So I'm just going to copy it and paste it over there. Okay, now you can see it is clickable. Okay, and we can just pass the color as green. Okay, it's looking much better now. So the last thing that we need to do for this call history is to actually create a list, okay, and map over here. So before that we'll be just going inside this data folder that we have created, okay, then in this inside this index.js file. Now what we can do here is just get a list. Okay, so let me actually search for the chat list. Okay, because this is going to be quite similar, so we can just reuse it. So I will be writing call logs, okay, or you can also write call history, whatever suits you. And after that we will be defining few childrens here. Okay, so what are the properties that will be going here? Like, this is, we are mimicking what we will be getting as a response from the backend. Okay, so we'll get ID, okay, for each call that will be created. Okay, and also image, okay, of like the person to which we were connected, their name, okay, and if the call was missed. Okay, so let's actually set it to false here. And if the call was incoming or not, let's write it true here. We'll be just writing random values here. Okay, and after that let's just keep it to this one. Okay, we can decide what we need. Okay, after we render the list. So I'll be just updating these IDs very quickly. We're just going to render 3-4 elements. Okay, so I'm just going to just switch these values. Okay, I hope this is going to do the job. Now the only thing that we need is to export this list here. Okay, call logs. Let's just go down in this file. Okay, call logs. We can now use it inside this file call.js. Call logs. This will be imported from the data folder. Okay, now we are just going to map over it, and we'll be returning this call log element. Let's actually get all of the properties like what we defined here inside each child. Okay, these will be received as element, okay, in this callback, and we can just pass them as a prop by destructuring them here. Okay, now after we have done this, you can see that these values are random. Okay, like this incoming and outgoing call as we defined. And also we need to just do one more thing. We have to place a property like whether that group is pinned or not. Okay, so that is just another boolean value that will be placed here. So I'll just keep the upper two pin, or let's actually keep this one pin and others false. Okay, let's quickly get it. Okay, now after this we'll be just placing one filter here. Okay, before mapping this, we'll be filtering it based on whether this chat or this group chat, sorry, this call is okay. Let me correct it here. This is not group or the personal chat, so here we are not going to have any pin or all. Okay, so that is unnecessary here. Okay, so we can remove this. Sorry for this mistake. Okay, here also we don't need any. Okay, like we can remove this typography from here. Let's revisit our app. Okay, and yeah, I think this is done. Okay, we can display the history now. So next thing that we have to implement is the dialog box. Okay, where we can display this type of list. Okay, where user will be able to search each other and place calls. So let's get that done very quickly. So just like we did for the group, okay, we created a form. Okay, inside the dialog box we'll be creating the same thing here. Inside this main file, you can just navigate to sections, then main. Okay, here we'll be creating a new file that will be known as start call. Let's create a React functional component here. Okay, just like this. And what we need to do is to render a dialog box, and we are just going to reuse what we did inside the create group. Okay, in the last video. So I'll be just copying many things. Okay, because I have already explained those here. So we can get all of these imports from the material UI copied over here first of all. Then this open, we can get it as a prop. Okay, I'm just destructuring it here, otherwise we'll have to use the dot notation again. And there will be another prop to close this dialog box, and that will be called handle close, which is going to basically be a function. and we already learned this transition effect in the last video as well. This is the component which is going to provide the slide in functionality, okay, to this dialog box. So we can just place it like this here, and after this we can just focus upon rendering the title and the content of the dialog box, okay. So I'm copying it because we have already done this, okay, many times. So we can just use again the dialog content. Only difference is going to be here, the content is going to be very different, like a search bar, okay, and then a list. And for the title we can just write a start call, okay. Here we'll be actually doing something different, okay. Let me just show you. First we are going to implement this dialog box here. So for that we can just write here this component start call, okay, and then we'll be actually writing a condition here. If open dialog is true, okay, then we'll be rendering this dialog box, otherwise this won't be rendered. And for the props we are actually just going to create those using the use state here, okay. So just like we did in the group.js, okay, you can remember in the last video we created this state, okay, then this handle close function. The same is going to happen inside this call.js, okay. We'll be maintaining this local state here, open dialog, set open dialog, and handle close dialog, okay. So we can pass open dialog here and handle close dialog here. Now there is one last thing, and that is to actually implement the on click functionality on this start call button. So we can just write set open dialog, okay, and set its value to true when this button is clicked. Now there is one error here, and that is we haven't imported user state, okay. So you can just import the user state from the React library. I'm just going to move it up. Now it's better. After saving this we can go back to our app, okay, we can refresh it, and when you click on this plus button you can see we have this start call, okay. We are not actually going to place any cross button here or any cancel button inside this list that will be rendering. So that is why here we will need that functionality, like whenever a user clicks outside this dialog box, then we want it to be closed, okay. So how we can achieve that? It is going to be very simple. We can just provide one prop here to this dialog box, and that will be on close, okay. So on close we will be passing the reference to the handle close function, okay, which will basically set the value of open to false. So let's now see if this is working. Yeah, it's working just fine, okay. Now after this we'll be again using the same search bar, okay, that we have implemented here, like this one. So I'm just going to copy it, okay. As you can see in the Figma design we are using this search bar here. So I'm just going to place it over here inside this dialog content. Let's get all of the required things here. Search from this components file, okay, that we created, magnifying glass from the Phosphor React library, and the style input base from the component/search again. Now after saving this I'm also formatting the document so it's much more readable. Now you can just go back, open the dialog box, okay. Now you can see we have this search, okay, but it is not actually properly visible, and we can alter the color of background color of this dialog box for that. But let's now actually focus on rendering the list first, okay. So after this search bar is done we'll be rendering a list here, okay, and that will be call list. And what will be the actual use of the search bar? Like whenever a user starts typing a name, then that list will be filtered, okay. Like when we type someone's name, then only the results that will be matching that name will be shown inside this list. Okay, so I hope you get this idea. So here we'll be needing another list again. So let's actually go back to the data folder. Okay, or before that we can just create a call element. Okay, so I'll be moving inside this call element JS. This is present inside this components folder. Okay, so we created this call element. Okay, now it's time to render some JSX here. So inside this return we'll be just rendering almost the same JSX as we have written here. Okay, only there are going to be a few changes. So I'm just going to copy it. Okay, we can actually make the outer part reusable. Okay, so I'll be showing you how we can do that. Okay, using higher order component. Okay, so here let's actually start removing all these things that are not needed here. Okay, we'll be needing the style badge with avatar. Okay, also the user's name, but we don't need this incoming and outgoing thing. Okay, so I'll be just removing this from here. We'll be needing the phone button. Okay, icon button, and along with that we'll also need a video calling button here. So let's just video camera. Okay, again here I'll provide color green, and there is just one thing that I would like to correct. We need to use another icon button. Okay, we can't just place multiple things inside here. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this video camera and place it inside its own icon button. Now let's actually resolve this error. It is because we are not getting anything like online defined here, so we can define it as a prop. Okay, inside this call element. So let's actually use this here. So without mapping I'll be just rendering call element here. Okay, like this. So let's actually refresh our app. Okay, then I'm just going to reopen it, and now you can see we get what we want, but we need to correct this layout a little bit. Okay, we need to group these two icons together. Okay, this icon button. So let's see what is actually happening over here. So inside the call element you can see we have this icon button. We are just going to wrap these two together inside a stack. Okay, so let's get this and place it inside a parent. Then I'll just give the direction as row and align item center. Okay, so now it's exactly what we need. Okay, so now we can focus on building the list inside this dummy data folder. Okay, so inside this folder we have just one file. Okay, we are defining all of the dummy list here. So let's actually define it just after this call logs. So this will be called members list. Okay, we can call it members list because this will be the list of all the people who are connected inside this application. So we'll be actually using almost the same properties like here we defined. Okay, so the ID property is going to be there, the user's name and their image. Okay, after that we don't need any image or incoming property, so let's just keep it simple. Okay, I'm just going to duplicate it multiple times, then again going to update this ID, and the real use of this ID will be to actually pass it back to the backend. Okay, this will be needed, and also to render list we can use it as a key. Okay, now after this I'm just going to again export this from this file, go back to the call. Okay, or actually start call, then we'll have to write that members list. Okay, then we just simply need to map over it. We'll be getting each element and then we'll be returning this call element. And to pass all the properties as prop, we'll be just destructuring those. And also remember that we are able to do this because the property names that we have defined here, okay, as you can see, like this ID name, and there is one property that we have missed, online, okay, if the person is online or not. In both the list it's missing, so let me just place it over here. We can just randomize it. Okay, I don't know why that dictionary keeps opening up again and again. Okay, so after we have done this, let's actually go back to the start call. Okay, we have destructured all of the props here, so it can be received by this call element. Okay, and this property online can be used here along, and we'll be actually passing the name and this image source, okay, as a prop. Right now we are just using a dummy image, so we have specified it here directly. Okay, after saving this, let's go back to our app, and we have this list here. Okay, I just want to fix some spacing here. Okay, I'll be increasing that. So between this list and this, let's actually go back to the start call, okay, first. And as you can see, we have this stack, okay, which is rendering basically the search component. Okay, so what I'm just going to do here is use another stack, okay, and wrap the search bar and also the list inside one parent. So in that way we can provide spacing between them. Direction is going to be the default column here, and also remember spacing is going to be always a number. If we pass it like a string, then it is not going to work. That means if I pass it like this, okay, like 3 or 2 as a string, this is not going to work. Okay, it has to be a number. Let's just format this file real quickly, and now you can see there is much free space and it is looking much better now. So that is it. We have implemented this call history and also this list, okay, to start a new call. After this, in the next video, we'll be just implementing this last page, which is the user profile. Okay, so here the user will be able to edit their name and also write their about information and choose their profile picture. Okay, so we'll be implementing that page and also this navigation. So that will be the last video in the UI part. Okay, after that we'll begin with our backend. So we'll create the backend. Okay, just the basic setup will be done in the first video, and we'll define some schemas. Okay, we'll be using MongoDB to store our data, so we'll do all those tasks on 21st. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to hit the like button and also make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Okay, and I'm also actually waiting, like, let's actually view if there are any questions. Yeah, it's going to be functional. Okay, we'll be implementing the backend, so we'll be actually creating all those functionalities like different types of messages, as you can see here, images, documents, okay, and all this functionality of like reacting to a message. Okay, so I think you will enjoy watching the backend part much more. Okay, so we'll be ending this stream here, and let's see what let's actually implement this profile, okay, in the next video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.